Hello and welcome back to Paranormal NL Podcast, located in Newfoundland and Labrador, Canada. That's P&L Podcast for short. I'm your host and founder, Jen Nosworthy. Thank you for tuning in to UPRN, United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in Ireland and 105.3 FM on that Gulf for tonight's Blind and Booze special on UPRN P&L segment number 48. I've got two guests tonight waiting backstage from Missouri, USA, who I'll bring on shortly. Now it's time to grab your favorite pumpkin spice beverage, a few munchies, and get ready for the show tonight. Paranormal NL Podcast is sponsored by the Bog Team. It's a boots on the ground Bog Team doing historical paranormal investigations in Newfoundland and Labrador, Canada. P&L Podcast Bog Team music heard in the background intro and exit is available for download on all social media and music streaming platforms. P&L Podcast believes in supporting international paranormal networking and highlighting global paranormal people, places, and things. Follow P&L Podcast and the Bog Team on all their socials and Linktree, Paranormal NL Podcast. Check out their merch and smash that subscribe button. Now let's get on with the show. I have on with me tonight, I have all the way from Missouri, I've got Brandi and Krista. Welcome.
Welcome. Hi.
How y'all doing?
Great. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for being on the show. So who wants to go first? Krista, do you want to go first since you kind of incepted it? Your Blondes and Booze?
Yeah, we're Blondes and Booze Paranormal Podcast, and we investigate and talk about anything and everything, all things weird. So if it's weird, we'll talk about it.
Love it. And Brandi, welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Basically, we love what we do. I mean, that's why we keep doing it. We do it several nights a week. So, we understand that this takes a lot to do, and we're glad you're having us on because we know that it's a lot to do, and we appreciate you and everybody out there. But I mean, we love everything that's paranormal. We love talking about aliens. We'll go look for them. Actually, we've just recently in the last few years got into cryptid investigating, and it has been super exciting. And, we just love everything about it.
I love that. Aren't you guys doing a conference soon?
We are hosting, one of the hosts for Crossing Realms Conference, and that's in Richmond, Missouri, and that's September 19th and 20th of this year.
Exciting. Yeah, I know that's probably going to be over after we put this one on, but there's a lot of exciting people on there that you guys deal with a lot because you just don't have Blondes and Booze. You got a lot of stuff on your table. Do you want to talk about some of those things?
We do. We stay busy, and as you can tell by our conference flyer, we've just met some of the best people doing this. And so, people are wanting to come to the conference. We're like, heck yeah, come on. And so we'll find a spot for you. And so that's what we did. That's why it kind of blew up to what it is today. So
I got to give a shout out to Sir Brian Bowden, who I've had on the show multiple times in season 2 and 3. And from Third Eye Live and Mark, because I think that's where I seen y'all. But I also had Tex on the show and Rob on the show. They're coming up soon. But tell us a little bit more about some of the other things that you guys do. I mean, you have a huge network.
Right. Well, I was just gonna say that we have joined a group just this year. It's Haunted Souls Paranormal, and they are basically an event group. They host and run locations for these historical building owners, and we are excited to be doing that. We're lead investigators for that. We also teach classes during these events and things like that. So, I mean, that is super exciting. Plus, we get a little bit of a perk because we get to investigate these places alone, too. So we have exclusive rights to these locations, and, that's really a great perk to anything, really.
Congratulations. And I think Dan, he's one of the owners, right? HSP, Haunted Souls.
Yeah.
And Dan and Frankie.
Yep. Dan and Frankie.
Yeah. And there's a bunch of other investigators here too. Maddie, Jereme.
Yeah.
Yep. All good friends of ours. Yep.
Yeah, you guys, you're all over the place.
Yeah, we are. We stay busy. I'm telling you. And, as Brandi said, we do that investigating with, the events and stuff, but, we love to get out in the woods too. So we do.
Absolutely.
I heard a rumor that you guys had a Bigfoot encounter.
We did.
Oh, yes, we did. And we had a big one.
Do you want to tell us about it?
Well, I mean, you have to kind of listen to the whole story, and it's told in parts. So I'm going to give it over to Krista because it begins with her, actually.
Okay.
So it was September of 2023 when this happened. And we were at a conference in Springfield, Missouri. And it was a camp out, and it was at a private residence. And, several people had been there for the whole week, and we had been there for a couple of days. And so there was probably, I'm guessing, now this is just a guesstimate, probably 12 tents around, kind of circled in a field. Behind where Brandi and I were was a wet weather creek. So we were backed up to the woods.
Okay.
So we went to, we were out there, and a storm came through. And when I say a storm, it was like a monsoon. It was an awful storm. Excuse me. And it blew some tents down. It blew down our food tent. It was just.
Oh, no. Nobody likes to be out camping when it's raining and wet.
It was literally a monsoon. It was awful.
Oh, gosh.
So we had been sitting out around the fire, and believe it or not, the fire did not go out with the monsoon. Why it didn't, I don't know.
Okay.
So we went back out to the fire. Brandi and myself and a couple of other researchers were out there with us, and we were out there talking. And it was getting, actually, I say late, but it was pretty early in the morning. It was like 2:30 in the morning. So we're like, we're going to go to bed. And by then, my tent, Brandi had slept in there the night before, but it was dry. So I was on a cot. So it wasn't.
You were lucky, Brandi.
Yes. Yes. And so I was on a cot where she had an air mattress. So she was actually more so on the ground.
Oh, okay.
So I just went in and as I always do, I play on my phone. I have certain games that I play, and I was there playing on my phone and had been playing for a little bit. And at this time, Brandi, because it was wet, she said, I'm going to sleep in my car, which is no big deal because she's done that before, So she's in her car, and I'm playing my games, and I put my phone down finally, and I heard something from behind where the wet weather creek was coming up.
Okay.
And I'm in there, and I'm kind of listening, and my mind just, it goes all crazy thinking, who's out there and
right. Like you would.
Yep. And so so by this time, let me back up. After the storm, the sky was clear and the moon was bright, shining bright. So I could see how my tent was, the way the moon was coming down. I could see something bipedal from like the shoulders up walk by my tent. And I could not only see it with I seen the shadow, but I also heard it out there. It was very, very quiet, but you could still hear something walking. And I heard it come around the tent a couple times. And it was out there, I would say, like a good 2 minutes. You know how long 2 minutes can last,
Yes, especially in the middle of the night. And
right. And I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of freaking out because I heard it and I seen it was bipedal and it wasn't a person. And so I sat up on my cot, and I'm just sitting there. I wasn't moving. I wasn't doing anything. I'm just frozen. So, but this time I heard it move on down. And then this is where Brandi comes in.
So I'm sleeping in my car, and it had gotten cold to me. I mean, after this rain, it had really chilled, and I was in my front seat in the driver's side, and it reclines all the way back. And I'm usually pretty comfortable in that. It was already so late that we were going to, only sleep a couple hours anyway. So it wasn't a big deal. So I kind of pulled my sleeping bag up, and I put my head into my sleeping bag because I breathe into my sleeping bag when I get cold. It helps keep me warm. And then I started hearing these taps on the front of my car, and I'm thinking, well, it's going to rain again, or it's just some residual raindrops or whatever it was. I didn't pay much attention to it. And then just a few minutes later, I started hearing footsteps around my car, like on my side, walking around to the front of my car. Now my car is parked it would be on the driver's side door would be the tent. Okay, so I can see them really close because I'm almost right there. And then I heard us walking around, and I'm thinking, did one of the ladies get up and go to the restroom? Now, we have a big deal about when we go camp that none of the ladies can get up and get out in the tent without anybody, being around. So we always have a lookout to make sure that everybody's okay, because apex predators are a thing. And there's some of the humankind that we don't want to run into.
That's right.
So, right. So, I just lean up, and then I look towards the tent, and I'm thinking, there's no lights. The zipper's not even unzipped on the tent. I don't see anything. So I start panning, and, on the other side of my car was another tent. So when I looked over at it, I saw this huge thing standing there. And I'm thinking, oh, who is that? First of all, I'm thinking it's a person. Now, you got to remember, it's been a couple days. We've been out there. We've been at a conference. We were absolutely exhausted. And I'm trying to look at it, and I'm like, that's not a man. What? Wait.
How tall was this thing, Brandi?
Right. I'm looking at it, and I'm like, okay. So I'm trying to wrap my head around what's going on out there. And then I'm thinking, okay, we're in bear country. It's a bear. And
right.
then I'm staring at this thing because it would have been standing on its hind legs. And then I'm thinking, bears don't have shoulders. So, once I start realizing, the adrenaline is just building and building and building while I'm looking at this thing. Now, the moon, as she said, was very bright, and it's coming down on the back of it. Though I couldn't see facial features in the front of it, so I couldn't tell you, whether it was male or female. I couldn't see any of that. But I definitely could see that I had a conical head that everybody talks about. So I'm like, ooh, okay. So as I'm looking at it, I'm looking as closely as I can at it. I got about 45 seconds, which 45 seconds in a Bigfoot encounter is a long time, very long time. So as I'm looking at it, I could see the hairs coming off it. I could see that its arms were very long, but unfortunately I couldn't see the feet. When you're thinking you're going to see Sasquatch, you're like, I would like to see the feet, and didn't see the feet, So I was like, dang, and I'm watching it, and then it started to sway. Go ahead.
The classic look on his face and stuff, like the flat, nose.
I couldn't see it. I could not see it because the light was coming down on the back of it to where it made the front dark. So I couldn't see a lot of what was going on, as in facial features or anything like that.
And did y'all smell him before he came up, or?
My windows were rolled up. I smelled nothing. But it had just rained.
Yes.
And hard. Okay. So there was a whole lot of different smells going on because it hadn't rained there in a long time. And there was a lot of different smells. And plus with the wet water creek there, the wet weather creek, it produced a whole lot of different kinds of smells too. So did I smell it? No, I didn't. But
so you're sitting there thinking, what the heck is this? Trying to process it.
Yes, absolutely. And I was sitting there, and I'm thinking, I must be the stupidest person in the world. I'm sitting here looking at it. And as I'm realizing by looking at it, the chest is about 2.5 feet wide. This thing was massive. And I'm watching it, and I'm trying to see how tall I would think it'd be, And as, I'm watching it a little bit, then it started to do the side to side motion as it started swaying back and forth a little bit.
Okay.
And that's when I really, the adrenaline really started.
Yeah, your fight or flight was like, is this thing going to charge me or what?
Exactly. Because I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, I can't pick up my phone because we're in a place that we barely have a signal anyway. I don't know what I was thinking. Now, who was I going to call? Nobody,
right.
And I'm like, I can't pick up my phone because as soon as I do pick up my phone, the light's going to come on. Whenever we go out into the woods, we do carry protection and other things, just to make sure we're always on the safe side because you never know what's out there. But unfortunately, it was on the floorboard of my back seat behind the chair that I had laid down. So I couldn't reach that. And then I'm thinking, okay, wait, now I can't flash my lights or beat my horn because what if it has like an adverse reaction to where it's going to get upset and agitated. And then these people are in these tents. I didn't want to set that off. You know what I mean? I'm just like, I don't know how it's going to react. So I'm just going to just sit here for a minute. And then I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to make myself as small as possible.
Yeah. You're like, I'm going to hide.
Right. And I'm going to curl right back up into my sleeping bag exactly the way I was. Because when I leaned up, I was pretty groggy. So it was pretty slow. It wasn't a jerking motion or anything like that. But I couldn't be for sure if this thing saw me or it didn't.
Right.
I don't know. Because like Krista said, we just went through a storm and there was tents everywhere. There was, the trash we had from our kitchen tent. And, there was just other things out there. So I wasn't for sure. But I didn't want to make any waves. I didn't want to, make any sudden movements. Because when I figured out and realized how big this thing was, in just a few steps, it could have knocked my window out and had me out of my car before anybody could get out of their tent.
That's like here in Labrador, we've got really big polar bears, and they come to the scent and they get closer and closer nowadays to the communities, unfortunately. And like you said, it's something that big, it doesn't take much to get into your car. It's like peeling open a can of Vienna sausages, right?
Yeah,
exactly. And I've been out in the woods where we've had to deal with wild hogs and all kinds of things. I know what those things can do to you. That they're horrible creatures anyway. So I'm like, but this thing right here, I was more scared of it than anything. But
did either one of y'all draw it afterwards?
No.
But when we didn't, but we should.
Yeah,
we should have Sibylla Irwin draw it for us, or I'll have her draw it for me because it'll be easier for me. Because it's so hard to describe a picture to her because I didn't see any of the front of it. It was just real super dark. That was it. It was basically that. It was very, very dark out, except for that moon coming down on it. And I couldn't see anything. And I hated that. I'm like, that's a bad picture. You imagine taking a picture, you don't want all this bright sunshine behind you because the picture turns out bad. It's exactly my problem right then.
That always happens when you see a beautiful moon. You're like, oh, this is going to be a great picture. You take it and you look at it and it's this little dot on your screen.
Right.
Exactly. What is going on with this? Exactly. You see nothing. You don't see any of the stars that were out there. It was just horrible. But so I just, like I said, I decided that I was going to just hunker back down the way I was, just as easily and quiet as I was. And I just listened for it. And then when I couldn't hear it anymore, it's like I had an adrenaline dump. It was just like everything in me just left. And it was just like, it's almost as if I passed out. It took me no time just to fall out in my car. I was done.
Yeah, that's some scary stuff.
Yep.
Right.
And same with me. Everybody's like, you went to sleep. Yeah, I did. And I agree with Brandi on the adrenaline dump. I believe that's what happened.
So after that happened, I've had a lot of folks on the show. You've been on BMR a lot, talking about it with Tex and Rob Carr. Shout out to Tex Wesson, Texas Front Porch, and Rob Pernarfel from BMR, Bigfoot, Michigan. Rob, late night BMR, BMR. So did you have the same sort of feeling like I am not going back out in the woods? Like screw that for a while.
Mm-mm.
No.
Or did you want to go right back out there the next day and say
we were right back out?
Prints, and so you went back out. Did you find anything like hair or feet or?
I'll let Brandi tell it what they found.
Well, basically, we were at a very small invitation only camp out, and when that happened, well, guess what? We had Bigfoot trekkers that were there with us. We had a journalist from Bigfoot Times was there. We had many people that were very capable of tracking this thing to show where it went. And, the fabulous thing about it is they did find 14-inch prints, and they found the push trail of this creature all the way around the back of the camp.
Wow.
Including behind my tent.
Including behind my tent.
Oh, my gosh.
Right.
Yeah.
So we had a big meeting on all of this because, as soon as I opened my car door, I mean, I'd only been asleep for like 3 hours. As soon as I opened my car door, I was hearing all this commotion going on, da 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 da. And you know, and as soon as I'm trying to get out, they're like, "Don't get out! Don't be careful! Be careful!" We had a visitor, and I'm like, "I know, I know, I saw it, I know."
And what was pretty incredible too, when I actually did look at my phone, and I picked it up after it had moved on, and it was 3:12. And what was really cool is that others that you know, was next to us on down, others had looked at their phones, and their times just went in sync with mine being 3:12. It was incredible. It was incredible.
Right.
It really was, that everything fell into place. So it wasn't just Brandi and I, it was all of us.
Everybody.
That had this encounter. Yeah. And everything was just adding up.
Yes.
Really
And so, yeah, we've got the whole video of them following the whole track line as it went around, and you could see it going right by everybody's tent. So everybody had validation when they were finding these prints behind their tent. So it just kind of went right on down the line of where it started. And then they talked to the first person, the second person, the third person, and it was just absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
that we all had this experience.
That's a lot of evidence, hey? Did anybody see any, I have to ask the woo part of it, right? Did anybody see any orbs or anything like that?
No. Honestly, you know, Brandi and I, we are believers in the woo side of things, you know, in the orbs, because we have seen orbs elsewhere, just not this encounter. This
right, I have too, yeah.
Yes, was strictly flesh and blood, strictly flesh and blood. So, you know, there was nothing woo about this particular encounter. But as I said, we have seen orbs though out in the woods.
Yes. And we were out looking for Bigfoot, and we saw these, and we did have some audio of things being, you know, like people, like you would hear like somebody running and moving around, and then we heard some strange whoops and all kinds of stuff out there, and we did see orbs, and you know, we have seen them, but in that particular encounter, we did not.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it must have been something else to be out in the woods and experience that.
Yes, it was incredible.
Yeah.
Really was. I mean, you know, people go long time and to have an encounter, and you know, we're really, I think we were blessed to be able to have that encounter for sure.
A lot of people, you know, haven't had one yet, and they really want to have one, and are out looking all over the place.
Right.
Yeah. I got to give a shout out here to Brian Bowden again and Brent Thomas from Paranormal Portal. And it looks like you're on here again with Tex. So, yeah, because you guys are in the with the Ireland Misfit Toys with Tex too, right?
Yeah, we are.
Right. I am actually Tex's co-host on Monday nights.
Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit more about some of your co-host stuff?
Sure.
Oh, yeah, sure. Go ahead, Krista.
So Brandi and I do, you know, obviously it's the Blondes and Booze every Thursday and Friday evening on YouTube. And we are on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Central and Friday nights at 7 p.m. Central time. And then I also co-host on Tuesday night with Bigfoot Michigan Rob at 8 p.m. Central time on his show Beyond BMR. And then on Saturday evenings, I co-host with Paranormal Paul, Paranormal Among Us, at 7 p.m. Central. And then later in the evening, I do the late show with BMR and Brandi and Monica Rollins at 10 p.m. Central.
Right.
And then Brandi's got a plethora of shows she does.
Yes, I do actually. On Monday, of course, I'm on with Tex and Texas Front Porch. Tuesday is my only night off of the week. Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Central, I do the Paranormal Show and Tell, which is actually on the I'll say it in a minute, Blondes and Booze channel, except it's done without Krista. Krista gets the night off. So I do it with other co-hosts from the Island of Misfit Toys, which is, you know, it's always fun with them. We always come up with some crazy stuff to talk about. And of course, she told you Thursday and Friday night is Krista and I's regular show. Saturday night, I'm on the late show with BMR, Into the Bizarre. And then on Sunday, Truth or Tinfoil with Randy Gilbert at 5 p.m. Central. So we love doing what we do. That's why what I said in the very beginning, when I was talking to you, I'm like, we admire you for doing what you do. You have to love what you do.
Yep.
You have to love it.
Yeah. It's all, you know, started out as a little hobby because of some experiences, but it kind of blew up. Is that how it all happened for you guys?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we just love talking weird stuff, and that's how it, it's how it kind of escalated, and here we are today.
Yeah. I mean, because Chris and I were friends before this, and we would just talk weird stuff anyway.
Right.
So, I mean, it was just natural.
She was at my house one night, and we had done a private ghost investigation for a private residence. And after that, we're sitting out on my back deck, and it's late, and kind of winding down. And I asked Brandi, I said, what do you think about Dogman? And then she's like, I believe in Dogman. I was like, did we just become best friends? Because, oh my God, I need somebody who believes in Dogman.
My soulmate. My soulmate.
Yeah.
That's the great thing about the paranormal people, family, right? Yeah, we're all family. So tell us a little bit more about your, I guess, if you had any, we talked about ghosts, we talked about Bigfoot. Have you had any UFO encounters or experience?
So I've had, my very first one that I knew what it was, we have a good friend of ours, Terry, who does the CE5.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, Brian does that too.
We were at Malvern Manor in Malvern, Iowa, and doing a ghost hunt. And our friend Terry, she brought her laser, and she was kind of showing us, red lights are airplanes. Don't be, putting it around them. And so she would circle, like, it looked just like a star to me. And it would, like, if she would circle it twice, it would blink back at us twice. And then she would like circle it 4 times, and then it would blink back 4 times. I'm like, okay, this is weird.
Wow. So, I've had a lot of people talk about that, saying that a lot of these orbs are intelligent.
Yeah, it was actually communicating with us. So that particular one, we're sitting there watching it, and I kid you not, it was myself and Terry, and there was 3 other people there with us. We watched it literally break off into like 5 different pieces, and they all went different ways. So Terry believes that it was like a mothership.
Okay.
And the others, come out of it. So that was really cool. And then Emmaus Village, where one of the places we go, Emmaus Asylum, we were actually looking for Sasquatch, and sitting out there, and we looked up into the sky, and again, Terry was with us, and she has an app on her phone that tells you, what's satellites, what's airplanes, what's supposed to be out there.
Right.
And I kid you not, Brandi is my witness. I know we watched 20 different UFOs come across that sky that night.
Yeah, there was nothing that would be able to explain the type of movement and things that it was doing in the skies. Because she even smacked me. She's like, "Are you seeing that? Are you seeing that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I see it."
Yeah, it's always better when you're there with other people, like you described your 2 experiences so far. I mean, it makes it that much better, because then you can bounce stuff off of each other, right? Did you hear that, or what about this? And tell us some more about your paranormal aspect of it, when we ghosty stuff. So I know you guys do a lot of that too, right?
We do. I prefer to do like private cases and that kind of thing to help people and locations. As Brandi said, at Haunted Souls, we do a lot of public events. However, where we, we're helping the location to raise money so they can keep the doors open. Without our history, it's gone. Without keeping the doors open, our history's gone. So I
love that aspect of it, keeping all the history open. Because here in Newfoundland, we have a lot of very old heritage places. And we did have one museum reach out to us to do like a public ghost hunt to help them, you know. And I really believe in the historical aspect of it. But tell us more about some of your experiences.
So I like I said, I prefer to do the private stuff. But and if it's helping someone, I'll do it. I don't have any problems doing that. Brandi, on the other hand, she likes to travel and go to all the big name locations. And that, that's one place that we differ from. But, I've got experiences from, I've been touched, I've been choked, I've been involved in 2 different demonic type hauntings. And I've had a lot go on, over the years. And we always go in with protection, and that's whether we're going out to the woods or we're going, to a haunted location. We always, go in there. We're both Christians and we both believe in God. And so, we pray and all that before we go out. So
that's a very important part of it all, isn't it?
For sure.
Protection.
Sure. Absolutely. And so, that's what we do. And, it's my passion to help people, and that's what we do.
Is there any sort of thing? I mean, you said you had a lot of different experiences. Do one of them in your mind stick out the most to you that really hit home the most for you?
So my very first, I'll tell you about my very first bad case, which, the demons are out there, but they're few and far between, honestly. Like they're not, every house that's haunted is not a demonic haunting.
No. Right. Yeah. A lot of families don't understand that, that could be their benevolent mom or dad or cousin.
Right.
Or, somebody. Right.
Yep. So I believe that, this one, and we never go in thinking, we always try to debunk everything. We try to come up with a rational explanation, it's not that we don't believe you when you say your house is haunted. We want to experience this for ourselves, and we want to see if there's a rational explanation for it where we can help to put your mind at ease. If we can't, we'll go to plan B. So one of the cases I was involved in, and this is many, many years ago, and honestly, I had no business being there because I was very new to it. It was probably back in 2008, 2009, something like that. It was a long time ago. And it was a man who 2 of his children had passed away. They were 17 and 18 years old. They were in a high-speed chase in St. Louis, and they wrecked their car, and they were unfortunately unalived. And the man and his wife, and he also had a 13-year-old daughter at home, and he just grieved his children. And I can't blame him. He started doing EVPs, just wanting to hear his children.
Yeah.
And so unfortunately, that was an opening for the bad stuff, the true demonic. And that's back in the day when like the Ovilus was new, and it was only programmed to say a few words, and cuss words was not one of them. And we were downstairs in the basement doing EVP sessions, and we had an Ovilus down there, and it said, "Kill the effing bee." And I was the only female down there. So I'm like, okay, this thing just said to kill me, Yeah. So I went upstairs, and honestly, I had no business being at that case because I was not experienced at that time. And the younger girl, the 13-year-old, she had talked about she was being touched inappropriately by these entities. And I asked her, I said, "Did your brothers ever do anything like that when they were alive?" And she said, no. And so, I talked to the dad and the mom and explained to them, listen, your children, this isn't your children. This is something portraying itself as your children, and you opened the door and invited it in.
Well, that's the thing. You talked about protection earlier, and I know some people think, they could be benevolent, but like you just said, you don't know exactly what it is. Yeah. It could be something like a trickster, or it could be just an egregore. It's really hard to say sometimes,
Yeah, and this honestly, it was a true demonic entity, and like I said, it preyed upon his grief, and wanting his children.
Well, that's what they do, right? Yeah.
And so our team, we did the whole investigation, and we never leave a client's house. We never be like, oh, well, see ya, we got our evidence, goodbye, see you later. We always stay in touch with them. And at the time, we didn't have anybody on our team that could handle, a case like that. So we reached out a guy named Ken Deal. He's since passed, but he was from Springfield, Missouri. And we called him in. He was a demonologist, and he came in there, and he did end up doing an exorcism on the house and people. Yeah. So that one was really, really stuck with me. That was my first case that I ever did that I have to say that really it scared me, Yeah.
Have you ever had Spirit Box say, "We will exorcise you"? Like saying that maybe, and then you think later, Okay, like, are they talking about me, like the car or something,
Yeah.
or other spirits in your car around you? Your spirit saying there is something next to you and it's
Right.
talking to that thing.
Yeah, I have not. I
I have
haven't.
not. I don't think so. No,
No.
Because
But
I don't remember that.
come up,
I wouldn't know what to think if I would have heard that.
we had that come up a few times and at a few different places. So we were thinking, okay, is it, where we're at, and is it our spirits around us, because we've had them warn us before saying, you have to leave. Like,
oh yeah.
they're protecting you,
Mhm.
You had that happen with y'all, like your spirit guide helping you and warning you, oh, you need to leave here. It's not good here.
So from my experience, when I've had something like that happen, it was at the Ray County Museum, and through the ghost box, my grandma came through. But I don't believe that was my grandma. Just because I was privy enough and I've done enough negative cases when that happened, I don't believe at all that was my grandma. So, as you mentioned, like the trickster and things like that, I don't, it wasn't nothing demonic there, but I think it was just kind of on the negative side. It was a human spirit and trying to, get my attention and rile me up, and it didn't work.
Right. Have you ever thought that you brought something home, like an attachment or something?
Myself, no, but Brandi, that's where Brandi takes over on this.
That's my famous thing. And I don't even know how it's done. I don't even know.
Well,
And
my next question was,
magnet.
Brandi, have you ever investigated your own house?
I don't have to. And then I'll tell you why, because I do a podcast and we've caught EVPs, we've caught shadows, we've caught everything just live, just doing our show live.
I believe you.
And it's actually fantastic. And actually, I have I don't call it an attachment because I don't think it's attached to me. I think it just likes to hitchhike around with me because I do travel. And I think it likes to travel too. And I'm going to explain how that happened. So I was on my way to work, and it's very early in the morning, and it was still very dark out. Now I live out in the middle of nowhere, so I have to drive into town, through town to get to the highway. So as I'm driving up into town, I have to turn a corner, and there is a single street light there. So as I'm coming around, I see this person just walking up to the street light.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, so I want to make sure I don't hit them because there is a problem with homeless people in that area. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch out for them. But it was just like a black shadow type thing, as if they were coming from the dark into the light.
Right.
So as I turn the corner, I look back at the road, and then I look back to see, we see where this person was, and they were totally gone. Just gone. I'm like, okay. And then I got the smell inside my car, very strong, like a burnt oil smell, like some oil that got very, very hot, been used too many times, just that burnt oil smell. Well, it lasted for about a quarter of a mile and then just quit. And then I didn't think nothing about it. So then everything started escalating at home. Things would be walking through the house, but I mean, this is not out of the ordinary because these things have been happening all of my life. I'm one of those people that have the beacon that says, "Here, come talk to me." So it was walking through, and then it would make,
right?
yeah, and then it'd make noise and do stuff, and then one time we decided, Krista and I, we were doing a conference, and we went to Michigan from Missouri. We went to Michigan, and and I met Krista there because we were, I live 3.5 hours south of her, and I was going in early, and she was coming in the next day. So I went and met up with her and everything, and we had somebody else that was with us that stayed with Krista in her room, and I had my own room in the hotel. Well, that night in the hotel, I'll have to let Krista explain it to you because it was her hotel room.
It was your hotel room.
And
well, I had to ask you though, Brandi, before we go on, do you say anyway, you can't follow me home, or you just go home?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Like I said, I do it all the time. I absolutely 100% do.
Because, even if you say that, it doesn't mean they're going to listen. Because,
No.
they say as in life, as in death, if they're going to be like, oh, F you, I'm going to go anyway, right? Like, you know what I mean?
It's kind of like, well, if she don't see me, she won't know kind of thing.
But I think they're like highly intelligent and can read and everything.
Yes, yes. But you're going to find out how highly intelligent this thing really is. Because, when I went to bed, I went to my hotel room, and then Krista and the other person went to the other room. So, and then Krista has to tell you what happened.
So I wouldn't think anything about it. Ghosts don't scare me. I've been doing this a long time. I can sleep in a haunted location. However, the lady that was with us is petrified of ghosts. I wasn't even thinking. I was tired. So sitting there, she's on her bed, I'm on mine, and we heard this bang. I'm like, what the heck was that? Got up and my shoes had fallen off of the desk. Like, okay, that was kind of weird, and so she was kind of freaked out, and I was like, yeah, it's no big deal, my shoes.
Your ghost was trying to tell you, put on your shoes, girl, get out.
Yeah. And so fast forward about 10 more minutes, and the same thing, we heard the same noise again. However, this time there was nothing fell. But I was just like, oh man, it's probably Brandi's ghost because it's known to follow us. And I turned over and I went to sleep. I didn't think anything about it. This poor girl, I told her, I said, you should have woke me up. She was petrified. She was scared to death all night long. She did not sleep. She said she kept hearing noises in our room. And I just turned over and went to bed. So I feel really, really bad because I just wasn't thinking, it's
she's just used to me. She's just used to me.
Most people are used to it, right?
Right. And then so we went the whole weekend, and I had a great weekend. I slept great. Just slept beautifully. No noises, nothing. It was just awesome. And then we went home. And as soon as I got home and unpacked everything, well, I had to go to bed because I had to wake up and go to work. So I just got into bed and got right into that cozy, I'm getting ready to fall asleep, just that moment of just, pure bliss. And then all of a sudden I hear, Brandi. And it was a male voice yelling at me.
Ew.
Right in my ear.
Ew.
And I kind of opened my eyes and I said, well, I'm home.
You're
okay,
like,
great.
Dude, leave me alone.
So
get out of my room. I'm sleeping.
Right. It does all of it just does all these things. Usually it doesn't bother me that blatantly, but there are other times. Now we're going to say it's the same spirit that went with us. We had to go to Gatlinburg.
Okay.
And we stayed at an Airbnb.
Yeah.
And, because Krista and I were talking about it in the very beginning. And because we had other people staying, there was probably, 5 other people staying at the Airbnb with us.
Right.
So she looks at me and she's like, I wonder if you brought ghosts with you. I said, I don't know. I haven't figured it out. I haven't heard it, So after a while, we took our stuff into the room that her and I were staying in. And next thing you know, we just heard this big loud bang in the corner of the room we were in. And we both started laughing. We were just like, oh, here we go. Here we go. And she was like, did you hear that? I said, yeah, I did.
You should set up a night vision trail cam in your house. Have you tried that?
Well, the thing is I don't like to open the can of worms in my own home. Yeah. I already talk about it enough. I already do enough stuff. I have I have one child left at home and she's a teenager, and I have my elderly mother. So I try not to give them that energy.
Yeah, because I hear you. I hear what you're saying. I
So
find that too. I find that if you ignore them, they don't seem to bother you as much, right?
I wouldn't say I ignore them because I do talk about them. I do give them that energy, but it's kind of like, you better behave, because if I have to call in the big guns, you guys are gone. So they kind of know that.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like you need to mind your P's and Q's, because if I have to call somebody way bigger, you're going to be in trouble. So they kind of know that.
Yeah, we got some rules in our house. We gotta go sit on the couch and not bother us while we're sleeping at night.
Yep.
That's one of the.
I apologize. I had a coughing fit. I'm fighting a cold, so.
That's all right. So with this, Okay, after Chris and I heard the initial bang in the room, and we just kind of snickered about it. We're like, okay, here we go. So upstairs, we had a couple in one room and then a couple in another room, and they heard like walking back and forth through the hallway from room to room. One lady had her glasses, and she said she put them in her pocketbook and set it down right next to her.
Yeah.
I think it was on her nightstand, I want to say,
Mhm.
on her nightstand. So the next morning, she was looking for her glasses and couldn't find them.
Find them.
So she dug through her bag. She's like, I had them when I went to bed. There's no way they could be in this bag. She found them at the very bottom of her bag, her glasses. Yeah.
And the thing about it was that Brandi and we slept great that night.
Had a great weekend. Absolutely. See,
Why do they always go through your purse though? Like, do you ever do an investigation in your car just like for shits and giggles? Cough, cough. And it'll start talking about what's in your purse. Like, it seems like every time I'm like, get out of my purse. Like, what are you doing?
My purse. See, the spirit box for me, I want to say I don't like the apps. I just don't. I'm old school. I like the radio waves. I mean, if you really want to get technical, I will go back to the Frank's box if you want to get technical.
I actually like dowsing rods the most.
Right. Yeah. Well, Frank Sumption had it. He had it when he made those boxes. He's like, I'm going to talk to aliens. And it's like, that's not who you're talking to. And so he figured out that he was talking to spirits, which is fantastic. Like I said, I will go back to that old school any day. I do not like these apps. There's so many if, ands, or buts about those. I prefer that. And I do like
just using a plain old candle. There's so many different things you can do. That's old school, right?
Putting baby powder on the floor. You know what I mean? And if you break it down and use your body, use your senses, because Krista and I are big. I like my little gadgets too. But when you really want to investigate, get down to your senses, know your body, and your body will tell you pretty much everything you need to know. I mean, like you walk into a room and then all of a sudden the hair on the back of your neck starts to stand up, or the hair on your arm starts to stand up. You know exactly what's happening. Your body, you can feel something pinch you, brush you, touch your hair, pull your hair. You can feel all of that stuff. If you watch out your peripherals, you can see the shadows just moving right along with you. You can do everything with your body that you can do with the equipment except film and record.
100%.
Those are that's it.
Well, that's why when you bring somebody with you, that's your filming and recording right there, right?
Yeah. No, that's it.
Bring another brain with you.
That is your validation. But see, I hear them all the time, and we always talk about this, that, like Walmart is I don't want to go to Walmart because there's a lot of people in Walmart, and I don't know if they realize it or not, but they carry a lot of stuff with them.
Well,
so Walmart to me, or Target, or any place that has a lot of people is very noisy. It's more noisy there, than if I'm sitting in a movie theater and got the thing blaring at me. Just because you just hear them talking, and then you're looking at them, and then the people you're seeing are not talking, but you're hearing other talking, and it's nobody over there, and there's nobody over there. It's like right behind you, like talking right in the back of your neck, or, it's just kind of like, that's why I avoid Walmart. That's why Krista avoids Walmart. We just don't like Walmart or any big, brand store.
Kind of, if you are sensitive, right? I mean, it can be
it's horrible.
Absolutely. And you just attract not only spirits but humans. They stick to you. It's like, and they want to tell you their life story, and but I think sensitives really need to be able to ground, like you guys talked about, and know what's a good place to go and what's not.
Sure.
Yeah. I guess we can switch gears and talk about Missouri, the place where y'all are. And what do you guys like for paranormal tourism there?
So we have, we talked about Emmaus Village. We have exclusive rights to that. Haunted Souls, our team does. So we go there a lot. Arcadia Valley, also, our team also has that. And that's closer to Brandi's area than mine. And then we also have our it's kind of been our home base for the last few years, and that's the Ray County Museum up in Richmond, Missouri. That's a place that our good friend Kathy is the curator, and
Okay.
we can come and go in and out of there as we wish. So
Nice.
those are, I think, as far as Missouri and Missouri State Pen, that's a great place too.
Yeah, a lot of people go there, don't they?
Oh yeah, yes. So those are, for me, those are the top in Missouri.
How about other places? I know that Brandi, you said you like to travel. Have you been to any big ones or want to go to any big ones that you haven't been to?
Well, there's a bunch. I mean, I think the one that everybody talks about and has been quite the controversial place recently has been the Conjuring House. I did get to go there and I did stay there. And I just found it as a normal haunting. I didn't find this overwhelming, evil or all of this stuff. I didn't find that. But what I did find was a very intellectual spirit there that was communicating in full sentences with you over the spirit box.
That freaks me out when that happens. Like when you get full on intelligent questions, that's telling you blow by blow play of what's going on.
Right. Because we were just sitting there talking and then nothing was being said on the spirit box. Mm-hmm. And one of the guys that was with us said, "Are you getting tired?" And then all of a sudden the spirit box says, "Might be."
They were answering each other.
Yeah, they and then it's kind of like you hear they start talking about something else and talking about what's your favorite month. We were just trying to think of anything to get it talking again. Didn't hear nothing. And the guy goes, "Well, I like so and so month because it's my birthday." And then you hear, "Well, what date?" So I was asking what date of the month.
I think that they like sitting and chatting and listening to us talk instead of us asking questions like directly at it. It likes to join in the conversation.
Yeah.
And
that was the first time.
Weirdest moments, like you just said, right?
Right. Yeah. And it was the very first time that I've heard on there, turn around. Have you ever heard that on the spirit box? Turn around, or I'm right beside you, or I'm behind you,
or I'm touching your hair.
And I'm like, I heard turn around. I'm like, okay, I'll play. So I'm sitting on the floor, and so I turn around, and then all of the cat ball that I had sitting by the Annabelle doll, which is the replica, started going off.
Okay.
And it was across the room from me.
Yeah, it was.
So I got really super excited. That was the first time and the only time that I've ever heard the turn around.
Oh, we've had to do all kinds of stuff like go left, go right, look up in the window, take a picture, and like.
And nothing happens, right? Nothing happens.
Yeah.
And then this is the first and only time that I've heard something like that over the spirit box and something happened. That's what I mean.
We had something like stink when we opened the window, and then we were saying like, okay, and then it said, "Oh, I'm right next to you," because it just smelled like garbage. I was like, oh my God. And then I said, "Well, are we like on a grave or something?" And it said, "Yes, bodies under." And it was just like having a normal conversation.
Yeah. And you don't get that a whole lot.
And then it was
every
saying
now
like,
and again you do. Right.
Yeah, and this place that it said to look up in the window. I looked over there and there was this lady there, and it said the lady said she doesn't like visitors. Okay. And this was on like a really tiny town with a bunch of tourists came in that year, and the dog started going nuts, like barking, and it said, that it was just given blow by blow play. Yeah, like it said dog.
Right.
Like, it's like.
Right.
It's intelligent.
Right.
And stuff like that happens.
When Brandi and I do EVP sessions too, we don't ask your typical questions. What's your name?
Nope.
What year did you die? We
don't
do that.
Yeah, that bores the spirits, right?
Right. So we'll like one time we were at Malvern Manor, everybody was sitting around a circle, and Brandi said, "Let's go around the circle and just name our favorite cookie." So everybody went, chocolate chip, snickerdoodle, sugar cookie, went around. And then we've gotten EVPs doing that were there throwing in their 2 cents of their favorite cookies.
Right.
I love that. Yeah.
Really cool, and some of the things
And it's like when I'll do like burst EVP sessions, and I'll say, do you like peanut butter and jelly?
Mm-hmm.
Or what's your favorite ice cream? I mean, because I'm going to get more responses that way,
right.
And then versus, do you know you're dead? I hate that one. I just hate that one, and then if I want to get more information, but I kind of dig around the circle to get
like
to
it. Though, when you go somewhere and it says, welcome back. We miss you. Glad to see you. Right?
Yeah, right. But I do ask for information.
Or
but
it asks you where somebody is. Like if Brandi didn't go that day, it says, where's Brandi? Have you had that happen?
Yes. Actually, it was calling for Dan, because we were at Emmaus Asylum and we kept hearing Dan.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But like I said,
they remember, right?
Right, they do.
Yeah.
They do. And then when I ask them information, it's kind of in a roundabout. It's like, do you like to wear a dress, or do you like to wear pants and or trousers, depending on what era we're digging into. And so I kind of get the feeling of what we're dealing with, a male or a female or anything, without asking, are you male or female? Because that's just another common question.
Right.
Yeah. So, but I also, like to get in depth. It's kind of like, do you like to wear flats, or do you like to wear heels? Do you like roses, or do you like sunflowers? Or, just those crazy kind of questions. Once you figure out or honing into what you're, who you're talking to, that's usually the best, because those produce the best conversations.
Tell stuff about yourself. Like you'll be just chit-chatting, and then it'll say ring. And then it'll say something like Florence Nightingale. It's like, oh, were you a nurse too? Or something like that. And then it'll say yes. And then it'll start talking about more about maybe we had this tuberculosis building up on Signal Hill. And there was a nurse that came through there. And there's real intelligent spirits. It's so interesting when they start pointing out stuff to you, like that you're wearing or something, or the color of what you got on, or I love that intelligence of the ghosts.
Me too.
Chris and I do agree on this. We never give them any personal information. No. We never even we never introduce ourselves. We always say, we would like to talk to you, and we're very respectful, all of that kind of stuff. But if they're listening, they already heard you call each other.
Right.
They already know your name.
Yeah.
But we don't give anything personal because, just like what you were saying, because then they can throw information at us that maybe we didn't know they knew, and we hadn't said anything about it. So that is more validation that we're looking for. But like I said, we don't say, hi, my name's Brandi and I'm Krista, We don't do all that. Because they should already know your name.
Plus, if once you do that, once you get personal, you don't know if it is a trickster or something negative. You just opened yourself up to it,
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because sometimes it'll say, hi, we're family. And we're like,
no,
we're not. The same thing, like
maybe
with
in a
grandma.
past lifetime. Not this one, thanks.
Right,
Right.
But it might happen if you're driving past somewhere where your family did work, right, or something, and it makes you wonder, was it like
Right? Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we don't do any of that.
Spirits can be tricky like that. So let's start giving some shout outs now to where people can find you and all your socials and stuff. I know we touched on it earlier, but for people listening here on UPRN, United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans and 105.3 FM on that Gulf, let's find out where you can find Blondes and Booze.
So we are Blondes and Booze Paranormal Podcast. We're on YouTube. We're on all streaming platforms out there. We also have a Facebook group that's also under Blondes and Booze. And then the link tree, you can contact us there, or our email. We both have access to it, and it's just blondesandbooze@gmail.com.
And do you want
Absolutely.
to give a shout out to any of your fans listening?
We have honestly, we don't call them fans. They've become friends and
And family. Yeah.
and family. Yeah. So we've met so many great people doing this, and my best friends are in the podcasting world. So yeah.
Yeah, but just shout out, of course, to the Island of Misfit Toys. We love you guys, and then all of our friends and family out there. We love you. Thanks for
Yep.
watching.
And Haunted Souls are.
Oh yeah, well, that's more like family too. There you go. But yeah, Haunted Souls Paranormal, that too.
Yep.
Well, thanks so much for being on the show tonight. We really enjoyed having you on. Blondes and Booze, you got to follow Krista Tweedy and Brandi Butcher from Missouri, Blondes and Booze. And we're going to leave you now with some more Bog Team music. Everybody, have a great night.